All right, time to do a little update. So it's been a while since I've done a video, but I gotta say, quite a bit has been done. I apologize if I'm gonna repeat some of the things that I'm thinking maybe I didn't catch, but here we are. So let's get started. So the rear deck. So I know in the last 2 days, I ended up having to redo a lot of things on this rear deck, and that is cutting the center exhaust section out because I had to have some clearance. I kind of had some issues once I put it back in. And so now everything is clear. I can get some insulation under there and not have any contact when everything gets hot. But I'm still thinking, because right now I think, it rests on the exhaust on that side because it's a little bit higher or whatever. But the exhaust is done. Man, maybe I should have done a video before I locked everything down, but I just got everything set up to be able to cut the plexiglass here. And so everything is locked down. So there's 4 points. Got 2 major ones in the back and then an extra one in the front because they need a little bit more support. And so that's how it gets locked down. But it's on shocks and hinges. I think I've opened it up before. So everything is functional and it lines up and whatever. So I'm gonna have to make a bracket that goes up and over behind the exhaust for the rear deck to sit on, so that way it's not making contact of the actual exhaust itself. Now, I don't think I did any video specifically on the exhaust setup, but we're running even. Here we got a 3-inch exhaust. There's actuated valves for the muffler, so it could be uncorked if I want, or muffled sound. And I think the muffled sound is a lot like, I guess, maybe a modified vet, and then without it, it's pretty loud. It's pretty loud. So what I do know that the last time in other videos, I had a diffuser under here. So my diffuser, basically, I started out with a McLaren diffuser. And so here recently, I went ahead and was lucky enough to get a Pista. So I basically merged the two. So it's a Pista in the center and then a McLaren on the side. So I'm 4 inches off the ground on the back. And so I've got some hinges, or actually L brackets, some aluminum L brackets that literally hold or support it right here. There's some elevator bolts that I have here that I'll later glass in, so that way you won't be able to see anything, but it'll be supported here. And then it goes all the way basically till about here. And then I fabricated the rest of the underbelly to be flat. Matter of fact, the piece is cut out over there. So that will be glassed in, so that way it's nice and solid, with some most likely Kevlar and carbon. So that way I had a little bit of flex to it, but really strong and rigid. So that completes the rest of the way from here to the firewall. So it'll be 100% flat underneath the car. So the diffuser will actually be functional. Let's see. Did a lot of graphics. Worked with some forged carbon. So there's forged carbon in the door. And mind you, everything that you see here, there is glow-in-the-dark carbon that kind of matches the image. So when the lights go out, you kind of see the same thing in a glow-in-the-dark pattern. So I have that there. And then there's also one underneath. You can kind of see under the dust, but there's one at the top of the snout right there. As I mentioned before, everything is wired. We're good to go. A lot of wiring is nice and tucked and neat. You don't see anything hanging, I think, as much as you did before. These are just wires here from the door itself, because I have to take my doors off in order to fabricate that in or inlay that into my doors. And so those are the only wires that you see hanging, and that's going to go to the door lock and unlock switch, and also my ignition switch, just a bigger one that you see down there. Let's see. I gotta say, at this point, everything is kind of functional. I gotta come back and do my actuators for my brake ducts. That's the only thing I kind of gotta engineer, and also the window to go up and down. So the engineering of the car overall has really been done. My front end, everything works and is lined up. So under here, pop the hood. So it comes open. I just want to knock my seat, but it comes up and open, and I've got clearance. for everything. I think what I did do, and I don't think so before, I had a smaller battery in here, and you know, it was causing the start to kind of be slow motion. You had to hit it a couple of times. So got me an Odyssey battery. So now you just hit the button once and we're good to go. And there's no more of that delay or whatever. So I'm kind of really excited about that, because that was a lot of work. I had to literally take everything out of here, the extra air pump for the brake booster, and then also the lift kit. You know, all this stuff had to be rearranged. Fuse box had to be moved just to tuck that battery in there. And it's really not, it's not an easy thing to take out, but you know, it is what it is. But you know, now it's there. It's in a location, I think, you know, that it's on a location it could be. Can't be anywhere else in the car, really. So that was one major thing that I had to do. I got sick and tired of, you know, hitting a button and then it didn't start. Like, first off, it'll look like, you know, something's wrong or whatever. So change that, but that was a lot of work. But everything up here works and closes like it's supposed to. Latches on both sides. So everything is good to go. Just got to put my headlights in. My bezels are sitting there, but everything is all nice and even now. You can kind of see I had to do a little bit of a cut, chop, and rebuild just for everything to be aesthetically even. So that's what that's about. And I had to make some changes too in the front end to make sure that the contours were even on both sides. I think I didn't have my battery charging ports right there on the side in the last video, so I went ahead and installed those. I cannot tell you how beneficial that is for having a drip charge, not having to leave the hood open, and having access to things like that, even to have power to run through the well, I should say the windshield area, so that way I can, you know, use it for power, you know, for wiring things up. Really beneficial, man. I'm glad I installed that, because I was actually sitting on those for a while. We know the windshield wiper works. You see the side mirror over there. So my side mirrors are fabricated, and I did cut the glass and everything, which is kind of tricky. I actually cut down a Camaro a Camaro side mirror in order to get my shape. And dude realized that the passenger mirror is a little bit curved. That's why it has, you know, the whole objects may appear closer than what they really are or whatever. But it's different than the driver's side mirror. For those of you that don't know, they're not identical. So if you're going to pick apart, make sure you get one on each side. Don't get a duplicate, because your reflection is going to be just totally different. So make sure you get the curved mirror for the passenger side. So anyway, got those fabricated. They work. They're good. Those are made of carbon and some Nomax in the middle of that, just for those of you that are kind of curious about how that was made. And so really strong. Dropped this a few times actually, and so we're good to go on that. I also have actuators too, to spin those around, because I'm realizing even if I park it here in the garage, getting around the mirror sticking out, that's going to be a problem just for me, not even so much of parking and stuff like that. So that was a real issue. So I got to fabricate those in. I do have them. Matter of fact, they're right over here in the box. Not that expensive. I went through actually a couple of them. So that's what they're going to look like. You just actually get the motors themselves. This is a whole setup. So you got the motors, and then the relays that come with it. What's in this box? I think this is the relay I got separate. Yep. So that's the relay. And so I think I ordered that separate. So you get to the relay. I know that there's a switch in there, so that way I can spin them. And so I just have to double check the radius, but I think the radius is going to work to be able to allow it to actually be functional. You'll be able to turn enough inward. You're going to have to go forward, not back, so that way it don't come in the way of my doors. So I kind of figured that already. But the area, and the reason why they're not installed yet is because you got to sit in the car. I haven't installed my seats just yet, but this screw indicates typically where it needs to be, so that way I can be able to see out of the passenger side. Driver's side is a little bit easier to adjust, where you aesthetically want to have them even. So I want to start over here on the passenger side first, make sure it's functional. But that's not the only way I'm going to be able to see out of the rear, because I will have cameras that I got to fabricate actually into the rear snout. So Not rear snout, but the snout on the top, air induction at the top. So there'll be cameras like right in this area, so that way I can see my blind spot, and then of course a mirror that I can depend on, because visibility is going to be huge for me driving this car as wide as it is. And you know, for what it is, people following or whatever, still gotta always be able to see and know what's up, because I'm not trying to have a fender bender in this car by any means. Do have my silver Cobra Misanos. However, I have made a decision. I'm going to pull the black ones out of my Porsche and put them in this car because they flow better. I don't know what I'm doing with the silver, but they just, I got kind of tired of looking at the silver. Now, these are brand new, don't get me wrong. And appreciate the guy following through in the deal that I actually came across in order to get them, because they are not readily available on the internet. They're kind of hard to find, and brand new. They're like $2,000 a piece. They're really expensive, but they're really comfortable. And aesthetically, I mean, they're nice. I mean, they're the real carbon fiber backs. You got the chrome. They're adjustable, and they fit like a bucket seat. And they not only recline, but they also come unhinged, so they go forward. So you got all the details that you would ever want in a race seat here. So, I mean, it kind of validates itself in being as expensive as they are, but man, they're really expensive. And I had to modify a lot and make that happen. I literally had to move my shifter in up this high to allow for the bottom of the seat to have clearance on the passenger side. So I had to go through a lot just for these seats. So lucky enough, I'm not like some 6'4", 6'3" dude, whereas I don't think that would have worked at all, because you would have to have a lower profile seat in order to make that work. But with these seats in there, I think it's going to be probably a custom fit for me. It's not going to be too many people that are going to fit in this car. Not that I could think of why anybody else would be driving this car. But other than, I don't know, my tuner, but my tuner is shorter than me. So we ain't going to have no problems. But in any case, that is the deal with the seats and how everything matched up and whatever. But had to readjust the shifter cables and whatever, just for that height, and everything is there. So on my center console, everything has a space allotment, from opening up the valves from the exhaust, Holley, digital display for the active wing. I mean, everything is, all those spaces are kind of assigned. So I'll be able to see everything, and then the buttons are ergonomically selected, so that way I don't have to worry about tripping anything as my arm is sitting there. And everything is accessible, from radio, AC, all the mainstream buttons that you're going to have right there. I got my holes drilled out for my indicator lights, for signals, hazards, stuff like that. As you know, that piece too is, it's all forged carbon. So I'm going to do that in matte finish. Had a conversation with Ferrari actually, and they were talking about how, and I had to learn this because I thought about doing gloss up here, but it's like all the dashes are done in matte, so that way you don't have the reflections and the gloss creating glare for the driver, because apparently they've done studies on this and it's been a problem. And if you order a car with the gloss finish or something like that, you got to sign off as a release for that particular detail if that's literally what you wanted. So I was like, wow, that's probably something to keep in mind. So I'm going to be doing a matte finish, at most maybe a semi-gloss or something like that, for my display area, and then also for the rest of the dash, because I don't want to have any problems either. So with that said, that's really kind of an update. Everything is really ready to go in at this point. I just got to deal with my rear deck, and my door. This door was perfect, and I don't understand why it didn't go right back on perfect, because this is a lot of work to align this door and get it to latch right. Like, I was really frustrated at that, but my door went back on and it didn't latch perfectly. So now I gotta go through all that again to get this done. I didn't even do the passenger side yet, but that's the next up after I do my rear deck. After I've done my doors, then everything literally will be functional. My side skirt is just sitting here because, I mean, this is the complete side skirt. I just took it off. I got 2 screws here, and there'll be screws underneath and whatever, and then also right here that go underneath the quarter panel there. So it just needs to be secured, and it's just been off because I need to have access to my turbos down there, and that's the way I designed it, so that everything is user friendly. When the side skirts come out, I got access to my intercooler, my turbos, cooling lines, wire harness for the ECU. I got everything just by taking the side skirt off. So everything is relatively easy and user friendly. And I wanted it like that because it's one thing to make something, but if you can't get it off or whatever, especially when you're making adjustments now, it's a headache. And that's what takes a lot of time too. So with that said, I'm really ready to go to start buttoning things up as far as doing the body work and get everything lined up. I got to take care of this gap here from my rear decks now that I know that the rest of it is perfect and I can rely on that. So I've cut, chopped, and rebuilt this a couple of times. So I just need to make an incision here. Got to bring it up here and then out for the other panel. But I got to have the rear deck done first. As far as the glass. Let's see what else we got here. I think that's really about it, man. You know, it's exciting to see everything functional. And, you know, for those of you that haven't heard it fire up, let me go ahead and do that real quick. Let me get, oh, my remote's over here now. Hey, shout out to CompuStar too. I got to speak on their customer service. So in working with everything, my remote kind of got beat up. And they really helped me out by getting me a brand new one. Just the housing, everything at work, but just the housing was just kind of beat up. So, man, they really took care of me. Shout out to these guys and helped me out for even getting it reassigned to the car and stuff like that. These guys is cool, man. And I haven't even driven the car yet, but just service and answering the phone and knocking out some questions or whatever. You know, really cool. So I'm going to unlock everything. And at that point, we are armed. Gee, I hate when that happens. So wing always has to get calibrated. My battery might be dead. It's been a minute since I fired it up. Fired it up. So that's with the valves open. And then we'll make it quiet. That's quiet. That's not. That's how that works. So we can go ahead and get locked down, shut the car down again. But in any case, that is the latest and greatest for now. So we're good to go, but just got to button up everything. Like I said, just take care of my rear deck and my doors and get everything opening and closing again. Oh, I got to install my third brake light. But everything ought to really start, you know, coming into play and getting some new skin on it. I'm going to have to obviously primer it, get everything one consistent color, but hopefully the next video should be probably everything primered and probably a video of me driving it at this point. Yeah, man, I'm pretty excited to do that. Just got to do another brake check and then pull it out and see what's up real quick. Take it around the corner, I guess. Be legal for a second. Please subscribe and give me some comments, feedback, whatever you guys think should be changed, what you like, just whatever you feel, what you're motivated to type and say, and greatly appreciate it. And I'll do my best to answer questions, follow up whatever you guys say, and then look forward to doing some videos of some other projects.